All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to continue our journey using Claude 2 to create effective, unique content that will do well in Google. Now, if you haven't watched the previous video, make sure you go back and check that one out. You don't have to watch it in order to see this one, but in that video, I did talk about how to create better, unique content and also creating titles. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about creating an outline based upon the content that is already ranking and a couple of ways that you can go about doing that. Now, obviously, we're going to need Claude 2. Make sure you get access to it if you have not. And one of the major benefits of using Claude 2 is the tokens that we can have access to, which means that we can feed in a whole ton of information into Claude 2 in order to generate the outputs that we want. And we're oftentimes limited with models like OpenAI's ChatGPT. So this is a better tool to use. And if you want to do everything at the same time in one tool, you absolutely can with Claude 2 because the content output is great as well. Okay, so let's dive right into this. In the previous couple of videos, I was looking to optimize for the keyword best espresso tamper mat. And this is the search result that we see in Google. We see a number of different sites here that are doing quite well. These are pretty challenging sites to rank against. So as I mentioned a number of times in my video, I really picked a whopper here in terms of competition, but it doesn't matter because for our purposes, it'll get the job done in terms of demoing how this works. Now, a couple of tools that you may like to have, I did mention this here. If you're using Google Search Labs, people ask me a lot, what is this that's popping up over here? Just a nifty little thing that you can do, in particular, be able to add URLs to spreadsheets and so forth. So before I get a barrage of questions about that, that is a cool little thing that you can do. Two tools that we're going to use in the context of this video here, we're going to use Harpa, H-R-P-A, AI. Essentially, it is an AI-based browsing assistant tool, and you'll see why here in a minute. Another thing that we're going to use is a tool up here, which I'll include the name of course, in the description below, is SEO Meta. It is free. It's found in the Google Chromestore, and we'll be using it to extract some info from pages. It is easy. Now, when we're going in and creating article outlines, essentially what we're trying to do is to look at what's going on with the top ranking websites and look at the structure and the outline of the content that they have, because obviously that is generally what Google is looking for. Now, I talked about making unique content. Now, the content is in terms of different perspectives and inputs and so forth, not necessarily in the outline of the post. For example, the H1s, the H2s, we generally need to satisfy the search query, which we have to assume that is already happening in Google. So we need to follow that same type of format, but we want to inject some uniqueness into that content with different perspectives as well, which we can use within the content as we create it using things like YouTube video transcripts and so forth, which we'll talk about in another video. But right now, what we want to do is to take a look at these content outlines. Now, before I dive right into this with the two options that I talked about, this is done very quickly by using certain tools like NeuronWriter. So just here in a second, I'll show you on the inside what that looks like. So if we go into NeuronWriter and I type in the keyword that I'm trying to rank for, what this tool will do is actually go into the search results and it will pull, depending on who we select as our top competitors and so forth, it will grab these sites and it will actually go through and give us an outline of what they're using for their H1s and their H2s. Now, obviously, this is a really fast way to do this, and obviously, if you are paying for this tool, this is the way you want to go, but it doesn't stop you from actually manually going through results. And I don't think you should omit that step because there's a lot of information that you can glean from manually going through pages, seeing how they're structured, how they're outlined, all that stuff, rather than just scraping that H2 content. But this is a fast way to pull this content as well. So if you're using a tool like NeuronWriter or Surfer SEO, this is quickly a way to do this, but there's a whole lot of other things that you get as well. And I know that NeuronWriter is still available for relatively cheap on AppSumo, I think for a little bit longer. So you definitely want to check it out. This tool is pretty insane. But let's assume you don't have that, okay? So let's go back into the search. When we go onto this page and you look at how it's laid out, we could see that there is products on there, obviously, so that's going to be an important part and good for us because we want to make some affiliate coin here. But everything else here, when we scroll down, look at the H2s. What is an espresso tamping mat? Why do I need it? Etc. So how do we quickly go through that without having to copy and paste from the page? We can actually go one of two directions. We can click on Harpa here, and this is going to pop up. Okay, so we can type in a query over here, and actually the easiest way to extract information from it. Okay, so inside of Harpa, what we're going to do is type in that query there, extract outline from page. Now, sometimes this is the frustrating part with AI. Sometimes you use this exact same thing, and what it will do is just kind of give you a summary. It's not giving us the outline. Now, I had to stop the video here because I had to do it multiple times before it would actually give me this outline, which is what I want. Okay, so sometimes AI is going to be a pain because it's not going to give you what you want. But what we're going to do is when we do get the outline here, this is giving us the headlines, H2s, the structure of the article. We can just go down here and hit copy to clipboard. And we can go right up here inside of my recommendation is to open up a document and then just paste it in there. We would repeat this procedure for a number of search results. So you would go back through and we would do this for, let's say, the top 5 or 6. You could certainly do more. But as you go through here, we'll see that these are the kinds of sites that we want. We're going to find things like Reddit. We don't necessarily need to go through a Reddit, but certainly you can go through that and see if there are certain questions or ideas in there that are not being covered elsewhere, and you can stick those in there as well. So I generally skip the Reddit ones and I go to the websites. Some of them will be, for example, I believe it was this one, if you click on it and it's all product. So obviously there's not much to pull from here that we're going to use. Okay, so the other option, what I want to show you, which sometimes I like to do depending on the topic, is to just go to the page and then go to SEO Meta. So if you click on this, then you see that there's a lot of information we can gather here. We can see how many H1s they're using, 2, 3, etc. How many images, so in this case there's 29, and links and so forth. So we're going to go to headers, and if you go here, we just get the outline right there. So Harpa is cool. It does provide some information, but sometimes SEO Meta is just infinitely faster. And what you can do is just grab this stuff. Unfortunately, there's no just general copy function here. We have to go through and then just copy and paste those into an individual sheet. So here, for example, those would be the H2s that I pulled. And of course, you can come up here and do a find and replace, and then just remove the H2 brackets, etc., just for speed purposes. So you would go through and you would do the same thing. Out of all of those top ones, you would just go right through here and click on SEO Meta, and then take a look at the headers and pull all those H2s that are relevant. Now, obviously, we don't care about final words. There's going to be a lot of redundancy and FAQs and so forth, so we're not really going to do that. But a lot of the products are useful because those are general product recommendations, and if we're using Amazon, for example, then those are going to be the ones that we want to link to and make sure that we put content for those individual products in there as well. So now, once we have that information, we can go into Claude, and this is why I recommend doing something like this. If you put all of this stuff into one document, then you can just copy all of the content at once rather than, of course, when you go into Claude and you have to try to figure out how to line space, etc. So it just makes it easier. You can do any number of prompts here. A lot of them produce pretty much the same result. Create an SEO optimized blog post outline using the following information and optimize for the keyword. And we definitely want to put that in there so that we keep it top of mind in the AI about what we're actually trying to rank for. And what it will do is it will essentially combine the outlines that we have inputted, all the H2s and so forth, to create a sort of what we call Uber outline. Now, if we're not happy with it, and people mention this all the time, sometimes Claude is going to omit things, ChatGPT, omits things, and it hallucinates things and so forth. Without a doubt, there is no method that 100% is going to give you a perfect output every single time, because AI sometimes just doesn't run in the way that we want it to. So you may have to tweak your prompts a little bit sometimes. Sometimes you have to ask multiple times. This is just standard. It doesn't matter if you're using, ChatGPT-4, if you're using Claude, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to go through that process sometimes. So here I wasn't super happy with the output because it was giving me a very shortened version. So what I put is expand it more and include everything from the outlines provided. And then it provided a much more extensive outline for my article. So you could see here that it pulled the main H2s, benefits of using an espresso tampo mat, choosing the right tamping mat, reviews of the top 7 espresso tamping mats. Okay, and then we have all of them here, and then it includes, of course, what we want, features, pros, cons, ideal for, etc. Using your espresso tamping mat, which needs to be in there, step-by-step instructions, tip for care, cleaning. Now, some of these things, when you look at this as well, this is obviously a fairly extensive page. So you have to be aware of that. And also sometimes if it looks like, in comparison to the pages that you're seeing in the search, that it is way too long, you can, of course, just write a few lines about these sections here, and then you can create a sub-article that is more extensive. So, for example, you're not the only page that has 4,000-word article on it, and the top-ranking articles are about 1,000, right? So you can do that if you need to. But I'm always in for testing, getting a piece of content up, and then seeing where it falls, and then tweak. So if I have to reduce content and add subpages, etc., then you can do that as well. So, but here we have our extensive outline, and we have our focus key phrases, which it also adds in there, which is a nice little touch. Okay, espresso tamping station, tamping mat for espresso, etc. So here is how we would extract this using a couple of free tools, Harpa and SEO Meta, and then using Claude 2 to put all of it together to create an extensive outline that we will be ready to start adding the actual content in and pulling from different resources to making it unique so we can get an effective article ranking in Google. So I want to keep this one short. We're going to do it step by step, and feel free to, of course, ask any questions that you might have below. If you like this kind of video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, comment down below. Of course, tell me you like it, you hate it, whatever, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be having a lot of additional videos on these topics in the near future here, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.